Inside Newcastle College, in the upstairs corridor, a student called Melissa was walking down the stairs, and a tutor called Miles Snipes came out of the classroom. "Melissa, I need to have a word with you about your next coursework. Please come inside." So Miles walks inside the classroom, followed by Melissa, and the door closes, but there was a sound of roar and Melissa screaming. Inside the graphic design building, Sam was wearing a lanyard and sat down at his desk with the students working on some video editing, which was Sam's interest, and a 19-year-old boy was asking Sam for help on Premiere Pro, so Sam helped him out. So the boy introduces himself as Neil Ken, so Sam was happy to meet him. So they had a conversation about the editing work and if there was anything strange about the college. During break time, Sam and Neil grabs a portion of chips from Burger Van. Neil mentions that a new tutor called Miles Snipes, he described him as a sinister looking man, and he also hasn't got a Facebook account. So Sam said, "Not everyone has got Facebook." So Neil mentions that some people are disappearing since Miles started working at college. They saw Miles walking out of the building and went to a female student at the smoking area and said, "Bella, you'll be joining me this afternoon. Melissa has failed me." So he walks off. Sam has got a bad feeling about it. In the afternoon, every student in Miles' classroom has got an orb on their desk. So Miles walks in and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, please pick up the orb." So the students picked up the orb. Suddenly their faces seem like they've been mind controlled. The orbs glowed red and the eyes from the students turned bright red. Miles lets out his evil laugh. At the alleyway there was a small space pod, so it opened and reveals Repti, the green robot snake, was inside, and he believes there's something not right about the college. At night, Sam used his sonic screwdriver to unlock the door on Trevelyan building, so he opened it and let himself in, followed by Neil, as they wanted to find out what Miles was up to. Repti is at the other corridor, hovering around to look for something. Neil, behind the counter in the cafeteria, was looking through the cupboards to see if Miles has put anything dodgy in the food. Sam walked down the corridor and found Repti. Sam made a surprised face and said, "Hey Repti, what are you doing here?" And Repti replied, "I detected some disturbance from this college. I decided to go travel more and noticed that Earth is more invaded than the other planets." So then there was a sound of roar and wings flapping. So Sam shouted, "What was that?" Repti was getting ready to fire. Sam aimed his anti-time device at the door, and the sound of wings flapping was getting closer and closer. Then the door burst open, and a red glowing gargoyle showed up. So Sam fired a red laser from his anti-time device at a gargoyle, the same time as Repti firing green lasers from both of his eyes at a gargoyle who fell and hit the ground. So Sam and Repti stopped shooting, and Sam went to have a look and he said, "I need to study that gargoyle." So Sam picked it up, so he ran to the cafeteria followed by Repti, where Neil is. Neil asked, "What's happened? What are you carrying? And what is that?" pointing at Repti. So Sam said, "Oh Neil, Repti, this is Neil." So they both said hello. So they walked back out the Trevelyan building, while there's another gargoyle inside. Miles is standing on a roof laughing, and he's surrounded by 3 flying red gargoyles. Inside a cafe, Sam and Neil has got some portion of chips on the table, with Repti on the table, and Sam is examining a gargoyle trying to find out what it was, as it's obviously alien. So Repti analysed it, and he said, "It's Aurixnite." So Sam was horrified, and he was hoping it's not true. Neil asked if it was bad, and Sam admitted, very, very bad. So Neil asked, "What are Aurixnites?" Then Sam said, "Aurixnites are xenophobe demons. They conquer, drain the souls out of anyone who isn't Aurixnites, leaving them permanent soulless and suspended animation to feed themselves. They would cherry-pick the best bits from their victims. Worst thing is, they're so good at what they do and hiding. They hardly ever get caught, as they are that clever." So Neil asked Sam, "How come you didn't recognize them earlier?" And Sam replied, well, because last time I saw Aurixnites, they just look like werewolves with triangle heads. It's a college full of students and a lot of classrooms. We'll have to stop them during the open day. It's far too dangerous hunting them at night, as we were lucky to get that one and got out of here alive. Next day, as students were walking to college, Sam suggests we best stay undercover. Neil, see if you can log into this website. The username and password is there, but make sure you delete the history after you've finished, as Sam gave Neil a card. Then Sam continued, Repti, you stay with Neil and pretend you're a prop for graphic design. I'm gonna have a word with Miles. Later on, Neil looked on Armstrong Industries' website, so he logged in and did some research about Aurixnites and what their weaknesses are, but all of a sudden, access is blocked, and Neil was confused and said, that's not right. Meanwhile, Sam is inside a theatre room in Performing Arts building with Miles, so Sam asked, since when did Aurixnite become shape-shifted into gargoyles as well as a human? So Miles answered, a year ago, when we were in our original appearance, we started to get noticed, and we found the planet Gargs, and we figured those alien gargoyles are perfect update for our appearance. You seem to know about us. Then Sam replied, I have met your race before. We Translords are a bit too much for you. And Miles said, yes, of course. Translords are very magical and ancient race, but now, as I have heard, they're extinct, and leaving you, Sam, the last. And Sam said, well, human with their DNA, with one life left, which is not so overpowering. What's your plan? And Miles said, you can work that out yourself, if you excuse me. So he leaves. Meanwhile, Neil and Repti walk down the corridor. So Neil asked, how do you know Sam? And Repti replied, I met him on a spaceship 5 years ago. We were fighting GLaDOS. Then I used to travel with him. So Neil asked, GLaDOS from Portal game? So there was someone running towards Neil and Repti. It was Sam, and said, we need to go inside a studio room. Miles is taking a lesson there, and get everyone out of the building. Did you find anything? Neil said, no, the Armstrong Industries website blocked me out. It's like it's been hacked. Giving Sam the card back, who's really confused, and then Sam said, no matter, at least I got anti-time device and Repti with us. Miles is standing at the other corridor and said, time has come. There's multiple red glowing gargoyles flying past, racing towards Sam, Repti and Neil. So they ran through the corridor, they burst open the door, and ran into the hall room PA201. So Sam got his anti-time device ready and said, feels weird walking back in here, it's been 6 years. Repti points his eyes at the door as Miles and other few Aurixnites came in. So Miles ordered, leave Sam alive, as for the rest of people in this college, you can kill. So Miles walked away. So Sam uses anti-time device to fire at the gargoyles, while Repti shoots from his eyes, as Aurixnites are flying around, trying to slash them. As they shot, they fell. So Sam, Neil and Repti opened the door. They ran through the corridor, and they saw a few lifeless people with their eyeballs replaced with black burn dust inside a studio room. Neil shouted, horrible! And Sam said, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. So they walked away from the studio room and set the fire alarm. The alarm makes a noise. Every student and staff in college have evacuated as they ran outside. Miles is in his office laughing. Then Sam, Repti and Neil walked in. So Miles was glowing red and he was turning into a gargoyle and said, get that stupid snake out. So Repti shot him dead as he fell on the floor. Later on, outside of college, Sam walked to Neil and said, I've checked. That's all Aurixnites defeated. We've saved the college. So Neil replied, unfortunately not everyone made it. Their families will be devastated. Sam looked down as he's really sorry. So they walked to Sam's ship in the park. So Sam says his goodbye and offering Repty a lift back home, but Repty replied, "I'll stay on Earth, this planet needs me to protect," and Neil said, "I'll look after Repty, I was planning to move to London after I finished my course, if that's alright with you," and Repty said, "Acceptable," and Sam said, "That's okay with me, just be careful, bye Neil, bye Repty, it's great seeing you again, you good snake," and Repty replied, "Acceptable." So Sam smiled and he opened his ship door. He walked inside and closed the door. Sam walked to the console and pressed the button. Sam's ship faded away as it makes a usual spaceship launch noise, and Neil said, "Cool, come on Repty, we got work to do," so Neil walked with Repty.